What's up, residents? It's your Mayor of DangerVille, Alistair, back once again with something incredible. The full Godzilla Minus One trailer has been revealed, and it looks more amazing than I'd hoped it would be. The tone, the visuals, everything is just... well, it's just perfect. And one big detail was revealed, so stay tuned for the end because it's going to make a big difference to your viewing experience. So let's not waste any more time, let's break it down. Minus One is directed by Takashi Yamazaki and is set in 1947, just after the end of World War II, and we have a new synopsis. In post-war Japan, a new terror rises. Godzilla. Will the devastated people be able to survive, let alone fight back? So tensions will be high between the Americans and the Japanese civilians following the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Speaking of Japanese civilians, the trailer starts out with them running away from something, screaming for their lives, continuing on from the teaser we saw a few months back. The production design here is just incredible. It makes you feel like you're really walking through Tokyo in the 40s. A character says, "What is it?" And another responds with, "I don't know, something big." And then we get a glimpse at our first confirmed cast member, Ryunosuke Kamiki, who seems to be on his knees in Ground Zero, helplessly looking up at something. We then cut to a shot of two train drivers helplessly screaming at something in their way, which we know is Godzilla, as he throws a bus onto the tracks, which will lead the train to being derailed. We then cut to a shot of smoke filling the air before Godzilla's snout peeps out of the dust. If this is following an attack from the US Naval Forces, then I'm sure the crew are terrified that such a creature can come out of that bombardment unharmed. Now here's a great shot, which you're probably going to hear me say a lot today. We see another character, played by Minami Hamabe, looking through the glass in terror, saying, "Is that Godzilla?" Which potentially tells us this isn't the first time Godzilla's attacked, or simply that the radios are trying to warn listeners of the King of the Monsters attack, telling them to evacuate. But it might be too late for this character. We then get an extended look at the scene where Godzilla bites down on the train carriage, which most likely follows this scene from earlier. We also get an extended look at Godzilla using his tail to slice the buildings in half, crushing the fleeing civilians. And at the front of the crowd, we see our lead character. And the CGI here just looks great. A big step up from Shin Godzilla, which already had pretty great VFX considering the budget. I love how Godzilla appears to be smaller, but still big enough to cause serious damage. It makes the destruction all the more personal. In this foot stomp, we can actually see people ragdoll, which is haunting and kind of funny. Like, he's powerful enough to do that indirectly. We then get an extended shot of the people falling off the collapsing office building, which gives me that kind of butterfly feeling you get when you're on a roller coaster. We see our characters running away, but I don't know how long they'll survive, because right behind them, we see Godzilla quickly approaching, heading directly towards the humans, as if this incarnation of Godzilla actually enjoys tormenting civilians. We cut to a bright flash as something explodes, reminiscent of an atomic bomb blast, which is haunting to see in a Godzilla film, where Godzilla himself is usually the physical embodiment of that destruction. We then catch a glimpse of Godzilla looking upon the destruction. Now this shot is probably my favorite in the trailer. It's beautiful yet terrifying. People have stopped running, couples embrace each other as they know there's no point in struggling anymore. They're already dead. The blast crumbles buildings, flattening the city. I'm curious what could have caused this explosion. This may be a result of Godzilla's atomic breath, or what's more likely is the Americans dropped another nuclear bomb on the city in an attempt to kill him, which is just insane. I don't know how else to describe it. This film isn't shying away from the heavy subjects. We then see the complete devastation as a result of the explosion, scenes we're all too familiar with following World War II. Next up is another amazing shot as a US battleship cuts through the water, and underneath is a faint view of Godzilla swimming beneath the waves. This gives me heavy 2014 vibes, like a few of the shots from this trailer. Takashi has said he's a big fan of the Monsterverse, so I'm happy to see he's utilizing that inspiration in some of the visuals. We then see more of the cast standing by the ocean, potentially watching out on some naval warfare between Godzilla and the Americans. We then get a shot of some bodies, who I'm guessing have been recovered from a shipwreck, considering we can see other large metal equipment that seems to have been washed ashore. A character says, "Why were we called out here?" as we see a wide shot of a steam engine in the middle of the ocean as our character looks out into the ocean, possibly preparing for an encounter with the King of the Monsters. We then see a United States government reel, which appears to be a presentation about what they know of Godzilla and how they believe they can stop him. This possibly includes a briefing on the use of atomic weapons, believing he can be stopped with conventional bombs. We see another character played by Hidetaka Yoshioka as he says the government is not telling the public, presumably about the existence of giant monsters. On the screen we can see the same map of the Japanese islands from the teaser that we saw a few days ago as they signal Godzilla's approach. He says somebody's got to do it, which shows the Japanese will be taking matters into their own hands despite American occupation. We see two ships meeting, and it looks like they're about to collide, and we see two of our leads shouting at the other ship, so they may be relaying information or transferring cargo. We then see our lead again, this time covered in black dirt, with pieces of clothing laying around him. He may be the only survivor of this devastating explosion that flattened Tokyo, and he screams in emotional pain. We cut to another great shot of the side of a battleship as Godzilla reaches out and grabs it. Godzilla, you about to make me act up, this looks so good. In the next shot, I'll have to slow it down because if you look closely, this isn't an ordinary explosion. We see some sort of blue shockwave absolutely obliterate this battleship. This could be his atomic breath blasting through the water, like what we saw in Godzilla vs. Kong, or this could be something completely new. The light from the blast refracting through the water is such a cool detail. Either way, this battleship is getting evaporated. Next up, we see another newly confirmed cast member, Kuranosuke Sasaki, looking in on horror as he states, "Everyone's dead." Following this, we see the aftermath of the destroyed ship washed ashore with a huge hole in the middle of it where the explosion made impact. Another smaller ship is coming to investigate, which tells me this likely happened super early in the film and no one knows what Godzilla is yet. We might even get a scene like in 1998 where there's only one survivor that can only say, "Gojira," which would make sense why a character later on in the film knows Godzilla's name. We then witness an argument between a character played by Sakura Ando and a Japanese soldier as he likely hid from the carnage to save himself, deserting the team. She calls him a disgrace, understandably upset considering she's probably lost everyone she knows. And once again, look at this production design. The charred wood, the piles of bricks, it looks apocalyptic. It's insane we're getting this in a modern Godzilla film. It just looks great. Next up, we get something you don't see every day. A flying ship, clearly thrown by Godzilla into the bay as he rises out of the ocean. We then see our lead looking up at something, buried beneath some rubble as he states, "That monster, he will never forgive us," which is goosebumps. It's interesting that they talk about forgiveness because we all know the use of the atomic bomb was terrible, monstrous even, but it was in response to some of the atrocities committed by the Japanese during the war. This film might not only criticize the American government, but also themselves, which will be a super interesting dynamic for a Godzilla film. We then get the tagline, "Survive and fight," as we see Godzilla rise out of the ocean, ready to kill. Though one thing you'll notice is the bay has already been destroyed. This may mean this isn't the first time he's come ashore, or he's already used his atomic breath to completely obliterate the coastline, similar to what he did in The Return of Godzilla. We then get the title card, Godzilla Minus One. Post-war Japan had lost everything, but then Godzilla arrived and set everything from zero to minus. And finally, we get this crispy shot of a scorched Godzilla shrouded in black smoke, and he looks pissed. But what could have caused this? Perhaps this is a last scream of pain before he dies from a new form of oxygen destroyer, or perhaps this is following an attack from a second monster that the trailer simply doesn't give away. We'll have to wait to find out. The last reveal from this trailer is that it will be playing in IMAX and 4DX. This is huge news. This isn't going to be some limited release. This is going to be a big event. So residents, prepare to get your tickets to see Minus One in the biggest screen you can find. The film comes out in under 2 months, December 1st. It's crazy close. And wow, that trailer has really set expectations high for me. It looks action-packed, intense, thought-provoking, disturbing, frightening, provocative, and visually incredible. I can't wait to see what Yamazaki brings to the series. It's been a long time coming, honestly, since his Always Sunset 2 opening. It's also been confirmed that Naoki Sato will be the composer for the film, who's also worked with Yamazaki on some of his older films, so consider him to be part of the director's dream team. So I look forward to hearing his score. What we've heard so far is haunting. December 1st cannot come soon enough. But what did you think of the trailer? Has it raised expectations for you? Let us know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe and stomp the notification button to become a resident of DangerVille today. And remember to give this video a Kong-sized thumbs up if you want more Minus One content. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you residents in the next one.